Hi, everyone. I'm Gretchen Swanson, and this is On the Line. And today we're talking about voice. And what I mean to say is people who speak up on behalf of others. Now, I know we watch cable news and there's all kinds of opinions by people. And sometimes we get the insight and the voice of advocates. And today I have two Long Beach advocates who I met because of their advocacy. And what I'm hoping to ask and what I'm hoping to learn through our conversation is how they came to have this position in our world and how they think about it and what it means to them. So, really, this is a good one. I think we'll see what happens. These are two wonderful women who live and breathe Long Beach and how Long Beach is important to their life.
Hello, I am Deaka McLean. I live in the 5th District of Long Beach, and I am a community leader.
I am Tonya Byrd, and I have spent over 20 years in the medical field, and now I am a healthcare advocate.
I just want to say this is great to have the two of you. And what's interesting to me about chatting with both of you in this program on the line is that I met you separately and I had the same experience when I met you is that you both came up to me and made your presence known and what you were about. And then of course it wasn't it was quite logical that you would know each other. But I met you in different spaces. So Deaka, I met you when I first attended a KCOD meeting, and KCOD means Citizens Advisory Commission on Disability. And then I really got to know you when we volunteered to sit when we were still tabling that era of outreach at the aquarium. And so I got to sit next to you and we chatted. And I think I can remember her taking down my email and phone number because that's the way Deaka organizes. And I thought, well, that's very smart. We'll remain connected. That was cool. And then with Tonya, it was sort of a cold call. I have this program called Tai Chi for me, and Tonya called in and said, "Yeah, I'd like to have that." And so I met her on the sidewalk in downtown Long Beach, and she brought half her neighborhood out, and we did Tai Chi right there in downtown Long Beach, and had the best of times. And she just orchestrated this. So I think that's an interesting place to start because if we think about the word advocate or somebody who speaks on behalf of others, I'm going to ask you, each of you, what that means to you. So if you hear the word advocate, whether it is about you or about anyone, what does that word mean? Let's start with Tonya.
Oh, well, I did think about this, and I would say that advocacy is me being the voice of the people, especially seniors and others with disabilities, which I've learned so much about through Deaka. And I'm saying to you is we say what other people want to say. So I'm sure you may have been in that position. You just want to say it. And then I'm the person that's going to speak up and say it. So that's what advocacy means to me, to be the voice of those who can't speak or are afraid to speak. Thank you.
No, that's great, Tonya. And there's a lot in there when you are describing that, because there's an emotional piece of that, as well as that opportunity when the opportunity arises. Um, Deaka, what does that word advocate? Because people throw it around a lot. I'm not sure they really appreciate what it means.
That is a true statement, especially for me. Um, I have started to brand myself with many different names that are fitting to my advocacy. So it depends on what table I'm sitting at, what discussion I'm having, but which one I will use. So right now, I'll say advocacy is about being a voice, as Tonya has said, but it also means when you're a voice and you're speaking for those that may not feel comfortable to speak for themselves, it also means to sit at the table and represent and help to bring change for those people that you're speaking for, along with yourself. So I brand myself proudly when I say I'm a change agent, because I'm not advocating just to talk. I'm advocating to make change to the situation. I also want to add to that and say, when you are sitting at the table, I would always say, I want to be at the table. But lately, as I'm maturing in my advocacy, I'm going to add appetizer to it. I just had to speak yesterday, and this is when it came out. I don't want to just sit at the table anymore. I want to be a part of the table, meaning you can sit at the table and nothing gets done. But when you're at the table and you're a part of the table, you're bringing your dinner, you're bringing your appetizer, and you're bringing your dessert. So that's a metaphor to say not only are you at the table, but you're involved in the table and you're part of bringing a solution to the situation. I hope that helps.
So if we use the table and the meal metaphor, it's it sounds like you also want to create the menu, and then you're going to have
Yes.
to clean up, and then you're going to have to invite again. So there's this it's not just a single action. So let me step back a little bit, because
Did I give
we're
you too much? Did I give you too much to
no,
eat?
no.
Eat on.
Well, it's kind of like a Thanksgiving dinner where there's way too much food. However, let's think about, or let's share with people that in 2021, the two of you didn't just drop in and have this passion, that this has has matured, as you said, Deaka, but it's come with you, and the advocacy have come together. And so if you could share, not the whole history, because that's very complex to become an advocate, but something that would be worth knowing about, that people might not know, how you came to taking on this, in a sense, a responsibility for being the voice.
Okay. Before I answer, um, did you want me to include how I help? Because Tanya said it earlier, and I'm very thankful that she thinks of me this way. How through my advocacy, how I connected to Tanya, and I've helped Tanya to do what she does today. Or would you like me to include that? Because I think that's important. Um, so I'll just
Sure.
start. I'll start
Yeah,
it.
why don't you start with what comes to mind? I think we're getting into the minds of advocates, and
Okay.
most of us don't know how advocates think. So
Okay. So let me start first with my relationship with Tanya, because she takes the time every time we speak to thank me. And that is a humbling experience, because when I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm in it. And I don't think about what I've done or what I'm doing until people come up to me and thank me. And then I have to have this humbling experience. And then I got to be like, thank you, but I'm not doing something nobody else wouldn't do. And I've often been told that's where you're wrong, because you're going beyond what somebody else would do. So Tonya and I are fortunate to sit on a committee. I'll leave the name out of it, but we sit on a committee where we are, let's say, we're sitting on a committee where we advise. We advise when it comes to healthcare, and we're representing 2.1 million. Am I saying it correctly, Tonya? 2.1 million clients under the organization that we're with. And me personally, my title, not only am I sitting at the table, but I'm blessed to have a title known as member at large, where I represent seniors and people with disabilities. So when I'm sitting at the table, I'm representing the 2.1 million, but I'm also representing the disabled and the seniors within that 2.1 million. So I had been a part of this organization for a while, and it was kind of unique how me and Tonya met. So one day we were at another meeting, and people that know me, when I'm in my tunnel vision, when it comes to advocacy, I take that very seriously. Some people might think it's too serious, but that's the call in my life spiritually. I really believe that. So when I'm in that zone, I think you might have seen it as well, Gretchen, when we're at meetings. When I'm there, don't mess with me, don't disturb me. So I was sitting at the meeting and I'm very serious. And Tonya comes up to me and I'm like in my own little world, like in my mind, like, come on now, leave me alone. Because that's how I am, right? I'm focused, don't bother me. So Tonya is very, very, very what is the word? Energetic, a people person, and it's all over her, and she just can't help it. So she sits down and she introduces herself to me, and I said, "Hello," and I was done. I'm fine. I said, "Hello." Okay. Tonya continues to talk to me, not even noticing, and if she did notice, she didn't let that stop her. So she's like, "How are you?" And I'm part of this organization in Long Beach. And where are you from? I told her Long Beach, and she said, "We need more African Americans." And I said, "Okay." And I still was like in my own little world, and she was like, "I want to change that. So how could I do that?" And I told her straight up, "That's gonna take a minute." And I even said, "I don't even know if that's gonna happen the way it's set up. Not in a bad way, but it takes time to recruit people." So anyway, from there we went through our meeting, and then ever since then, Tonya has what is it? Stuck to me, kind of, in a good way. It's like she sits by me. It's kind of like she wants to get all the information out of my head to help her be better. And just recently, through our friendship that has grown over time, we were in a situation where since she's been by me and she's watching what I'm doing, she's like, "Oh my God, you are just awesome. What can I want to learn what you do?" So we were in a situation where we were kind of pushed up against the wall about something. And I told her, "Oh, that ain't gonna go down. I got to go have a conversation with the higher up." And she was like, "Oh my God, okay, can I help?" I was like, "I don't have a problem with that." So in this journey, we called it a name. We called it the Underground Railroad. So Tonya tells me every time we're about to present, she says, "I'm on the train. I'm the passenger, but you leading the ship. And I'm so honored to be the passenger on your ship." And then I tell her, "No, it takes both of us." She was like, "No, no, no, no. I'm going to give you your credit because we wouldn't be here." So with that being said, along my life, people seem to, come and connect with me through my advocacy. This is not something that I grew up wanting to do. It fell in my lap. I was in a situation where
Can I stop right there, Deaka?
Yes,
only
yes.
because I want to, there is so much about this opportunity. One, you put yourselves, both of you put yourselves in this situation where you are representatives, the voice for people, the 2.1 million that you're speaking about, but then you met each other and then you saw the situation. And of course, in all these situations, they're always evolving. The
Right.
situation changes. You don't know from year to year, month to month, what you're going to be called on. And I'm wondering how Tonya, uh, well, we can all imagine anyone now viewing this as how Deaka might be a magnet for,
There we
change.
go. I like that.
Okay. So we don't have to go there, but how you experience this from a change agent, from an advocacy point of view.
Okay. The word is gravitate. I gravitated towards Dika. Little did I know at that time that through her, I was going to become more aware of disabled individuals. Because of Dika, I actually started noticing when I was walking downtown Long Beach that the curbs were too high. I started actually paying attention to individuals in wheelchairs and how one day I had one of those shopping carts. It tickles me because as we get older, things change. And I couldn't get it down the stairs at the train station. Why? Because I didn't know that the disabled people have to go to another stop. So, what it had done for me is gave me a reality check. And I love that, to know what's happening, to know that I can maybe make a change or help some of those individuals along the way.
So I'm just going to reflect a little bit what I've heard thus far,
Okay.
because this journey is not one that many people take, or if they have taken it, necessarily have a place to share it. Um, and you first talk about you get into a situation, or you create the situation where you need to be the voice, and then you talk about some humility. It's not about you, it's about others. But then once you're in this sort of situation, and it's kind of recurring, you kind of know each other, you decide to work on some things together, all of a sudden you start to see the world differently. The needs are there, they're present, and then the very thing that you're doing, which is to voice for others, well, it's kind of explodes, right? Because there's more people that need that voice on their behalf. It sounds like you're kind of creating jobs for yourself. What do you think?
Um, I don't, wow, that's interesting that you say it's a job. I never ever look at it as a job, more as a purpose. You know, there'll come a time in your life when it comes to you and you realize what your purpose is. And I do truly believe, especially being a senior citizen, I'm really proud to say I'll be 65 this year. And to know that I have the ability to help others is not a job, it's a pleasure.
So that was really, and thank you for correcting that word choice. Because really my question is, how has it changed your life? Taking on this step.
I've become, as I mentioned earlier, I've become more aware, more compassionate, and more giving of others, being a more considerate person, and reminding others to do the same. Thanks to Dika, she's really helped out a lot more than she ever knows. But she's seen me in action, so she could speak for, for that. I'm so honored that she even mentioned, how I met her and everything, because I'm gravitated to good people. and good things. And that's what we want to do here in Long Beach, is do good things for, for our people.
Deeka, absolutely. We can't have enough of this. I'm not sure how we can disseminate it. Because we need it quickly and in an awesome way, widely disseminated. Deeka, how would you, or can you describe a change that you've made along the way? You said that you hadn't started out to take on an advocacy change agent role, but now that you have, are there things that have occurred that have changed you?
Yes. I'm being a little transparent. I wasn't trying to, but that's what it's all about. Being transparent and helping others. When I do what I do, as far as advocacy is concerned, it's helping me. And nobody knows that unless I reveal that. So as I'm helping others, it's helping me. I'm a person with a disability. So on top of advocating for others, there are times that people that within my circle and my support have to remind me, you advocate for all these people and you advocated willingly. And then sometimes you forget to advocate for yourself. Um, so I am working on that, and I'm not deliberately forgetting about myself. It's just that I'm so caught up with trying to make sure that the needs are being met based on what I see, that I don't think about myself. It's like it's all encompassed in me advocating. Does that make sense?
Well, I think about a couple of things. I think about this idea of self-care, that
Yes.
it's important to care for oneself and that we get really a psychic benefit in helping others.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also this idea of being one's own care manager, where we have
Yes.
to take responsibility for caring for ourselves. And I know just for myself, it's always nice to have someone else take care of me, right? Because, what is that? But truly, I mean, I know intellectually that that's not right, but there are times because it's just too off-putting, it's too burdensome to be the only person that is managing one's own care. It's
So
a lot,
yeah,
right?
so on that note, self-care. Just recently, I got to the point where I had to make that decision because of my advocacy. I've been doing this for a long time. And it has grown. I mean, when I say grown, responsibilities have grown. And it is a pleasure to have that extra responsibility and walk in the circles that I walk in. But with that, there's still like I don't want to call it a burden. It's a weight that I willingly carry. So because I know that I'm making a difference, or I know I'm putting forth an effort to make a difference and bring other people along with me to feel inspired to continue to want to make that difference as well. So recently I had to get to the point where I have to self maintenance, self wellness, because of my responsibilities, take the time to take 2 days out of the week, put it in my calendar. If not two, I try to, but if I can't get to, at least one, where I don't think about any of my responsibilities. And I just do things that I like. Because I have to, when you're advocating, you have to refuel. Especially the level that I'm doing what I'm doing, I have to refuel to be able to be that voice for other people. And sometimes I'm not only being a voice, I'm being an empowerer. I'm being an encourager. That goes along with advocacy. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think, well, uh, this program was inspired with this idea of well-being, which
Mhm.
is just pretty much this huge idea. I mean, it's just goes on, and there's all kinds of depth and breadth to it. And the power of advocacy to make change, but the amount of energy it
Yes.
takes
Yes.
to do it,
Yes.
there are limits to us as people. We do have limits. We may appear to others to be limitless, but and just always being able to always saying yes. You know, the people, what is the saying? If you want to get something done, go to somebody who's really busy, because you know they get things done, they keep doing things. I'm wondering, Tonya, any thoughts, really some wisdom that you have about self-care as an advocate?
Oh, absolutely. Being that I spent 20 years in the medical field, I worked in at Long Beach Memorial in the cardiac unit, and I learned from working and watching people grow older. I actually was younger than the patients. Then I started seeing the patient. I was getting older and noticing that people don't take enough time for self care. And as I grow as a senior citizen, I've actually learned how to do that. I've learned how to rest. People have to know that it's okay. I think I find a lot of my friends and relatives and associates beating themselves up because they need to rest. And I always let them know, oh no, that's okay. If you feel tired, you need to get your rest because we have to save our energy. Not
Exactly.
only that, as a senior citizen, we have so many things we have to do: eat properly, get a little exercise in, communicate effectively with one another. That's why you're in my life, Gretchen. Yeah, see, I got you laughing, and you know that because of the heart of Ida. Listen, I met you because I'm communicating effectively. I'm self caring for myself. And you are so great at helping me do that, and other senior citizens that participate in the Heart of Ida program, to eat properly, to know that when you get a bag of fresh produce, to find creative ways to eat it, get your rest, walk, get a little exercise, and most important of all, take care of yourself. I surely believe in that. Absolutely, 110%.
I I think about, on one hand, that advocacy can be in the area of having accessible, great farm produce, for example. But
Absolutely.
the self-care part is to actually use the fresh produce, right?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's that being able to see the forest for the weeds. I mean, we're working on these really important things: clean air, transportation, so on and so forth, and yet we also um, benefit from taking the time to actually use these things we've advocated for. So you started to list some things, and I'm going to ask both of you, what for the communities of people that you are interested in, you're affiliated with, you're connected with, what are the 3 or 4 top issues um, that that you think are not getting enough um, voice, or might be not yet ready, but you see in the future to be an important issue?
My biggest pet peeve is the homeless situation. And I would like to see, hopefully, that there'll be some programs that can reach out to the mentally ill. And I do see it happening. The policing is changing. There'll be individuals now in the future that will go out and hopefully get a hold of what's going on with mentally ill individuals, and we'll do some policing in the community, and where the police will learn how to properly police people, and the mental health people will take care of the ones that are mentally disturbed. And hopefully that will make our community a better place. That's one of my biggest things that I care about.
We're advocating for ADA where it's more than the minimum. Okay, you've done the minimum. You've done the minimum. Thank you. But can you do a little bit more? And if you would have invited us to the table to give our input, you probably wouldn't have to go backwards. I'll be glad when we, as people with disabilities, get to the point where we can be a before thought and not an afterthought.
So, yes, and I think the way you are framing it, both of you, one is to see the need for humanity in the frame, and the idea that our sense of what is right maybe needs to be tweaked. In fact,
Yes.
maybe it needs to be renovated completely.
Yes, overhaul.
So yeah, that overhaul. So okay, here's where we're at. We're going to end because this we could, you know, that we could go into tomorrow on this because yeah,
Yes.
I am in awe of both of you and what you do. But let's so people are going to be watching this, and many people will be older or will have lived some part of their life, and they're busy with their life. And I'm wondering, here's my question. Is it ever too late to be an advocate?
No,
No.
no, no. I said it 3 times. No.
Okay, so it's never too late. So what is it? So you all are, you're both very experienced. You have, you know, there's been some battles, right? There's
Yeah.
been some bruising, there's been some
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah.
and people might be a little cautious about that, but they still feel strongly. So what might be an idea that if you could mentor someone your age, whatever age either one of you are, someone who has lived an important part of their life and they want to start voicing on behalf of others, what might you suggest?
Because I wanted to share that when we were talking about mental wellness. So if I could go back just a little.
Mhm.
To be an advocate, when I'm asked to speak about being an advocate, first thing I tell them, you gotta love what you do. You gotta love being an advocate. Because there are times where you're gonna have moments. This would be personally. I've had moments where, even though I know this is my calling, because I'm spiritual and I know God has put me here, there are times when I wanted to walk away from it. That's how serious I know this is, and I take it very seriously. There have been times I wanted to walk away, and every time I tried to walk away, something came back to me to be like, "Oh, it has to be done." So when you're an advocate, or you want to speak out, or you want to use your voice, you have to want to do it. You gotta love what you do, because if you don't love what you do, then it's going to become a burden and you're not going to be an effective advocate.
Right.
Okay. Then there are those that want to be a voice, but don't know how to be a voice. Okay. My suggestion is to connect to an advocate, connect to someone that is willing to be a voice on your behalf. It's better to be honest with yourself and know what you can do and what you can't do. But don't feel discouraged if you feel you don't have the ability or the desire or to be a voice. You can still be a voice. Just allow someone else to be your voice.
Yeah,
Because
no, that's good, Deaka. Let's throw it over
Tanya,
to Tonya and
yes.
see.
Oh yeah, before my train of thought gets out of there. Why my brain was all over the place because but what I wanted to say about that is me personally, the way I want to answer that is that I have the ability, and Gretchen, you kind of mentioned this at the beginning of this. I have the ability to bring people together. So that's my take on it. If you're watching this, then there may be a way to get a hold of me, or if you know, or there's someone out there that knows of people like Deaka and myself, they should reach out to these people.
Yes.
I do mean we don't have color lines.
Hello.
I am the chairperson of a regional advisory committee here in Long Beach, and I have Cambodians, Hispanics. I'm a voice for all African Americans. I'm a voice for all seniors. And I'm really saying seniors and people with mental disabilities. Don't hesitate to come to a person like myself. I tell all of my associates that know what I do, call me with your issues. So
Yes.
when I go to those meetings, I can bring them up because you're absolutely right, both of you. In order to make a change, we have to do something. We could talk all day long, but we have to do actions and make things happen. So that's my take of it. And thank you very much. Remember, I have the ability to bring people together. Keep that in mind.
Well, I love the fact that you can bring them together, and Deaka has something to say once you get them all together. And so that's where the action, the chemistry occurs. I am convinced, and this is my working theory, that people that I've observed and gotten to know that are advocates truly know who they are very, very deeply. So, and I thought about that as you were talking, Deaka, about really having a passion for what you do, and you, Tonya, understanding what you do, that you know who you are, what your gift is, what your talent, what your skill
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and where your moral compass is, so that when it's confusing or people don't like your idea right off the bat, or in fact, maybe the first 15 times you bring it out there.
Yes.
But as long as you, so what I've seen is that those people who are there for the long haul and are really accrue success, because it's bit by bit, is that they
Yes.
have understood who they are. So, okay, one parting statement from either one of you or both of you.
Be good to yourself. Take care of yourself, especially during these times of, what we're going through. Eat healthy and get plenty of rest and love yourself.
Thank you, Tonya. And Deaka?
Be willing to sit at the table, but be willing to bring something to the table. And if you're not able to do it, then find someone else that can do it for you.
And I just want to say, Long Beach, you have just heard from two of the most amazing voices. And I can say that if I were to have a team, I want them on my team. In fact, I want them to be the team for success. These are really experienced voices and something we can learn from over time. So I thank you. I thank you both for coming today.